Hi, I'm David Brandon, disability lawyer. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about CPP disability and workers' compensation benefits, how the two fit together, some issues you need to look out for, and hopefully by the end you'll know problems to avoid and have a better understanding how these two work. Now, if you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe as we put videos out almost a few times a week. And don't forget, if you want to leave us a comment, we'd love to answer your questions. So CPP disability, workers' compensation are both types of benefits that are paid to people who are unable to work because of disability. Now, they are different programs. They're both government programs per se. CPP disability is run by the federal government. Workers' compensation is run by provincial agencies, and there is a different program in each province, whereas CPP is Canada-wide. The other difference is that workers' compensation is only focused on paying benefits for workplace injuries, and that is a very important thing to keep in mind. Whereas CPP, they don't care how you became disabled. It doesn't really matter to them. They're just concerned whether you are disabled, whether it's work-related or otherwise, and they will pay. As with other types of benefits, CPP disability is always considered the first payer. That doesn't mean that you necessarily just get approved for them first. It just means you're always going to first receive that payment. Other people can sometimes deduct from what they have to pay you from what you're getting from CPP. That makes them the second payer. These are just terms that are used in the industry, but it's important to have an understanding of that CPP disability is always seen as the primary thing you're going to receive. And then other benefits sometimes can reduce what they pay by what you're getting from CPP disability, and that is the case with workers' compensation. Workers' compensation will not necessarily deduct the full CPP payment that you're getting. The policies on this vary from province to province, and so you're going to have to look into it depending on where you live. Now, it's not always that even in provinces where they say they will deduct the full amount, they don't always do that because, again, they'll only do it to the extent that the CPP disability is being paid for a workplace injury. It's possible that the CPP disability is being paid for something completely unrelated to work, something that is not related to your workplace injury, and so workers' comp may not be able to deduct any of it. We won a case for a client in just that situation. It was a long fight, but we were able to prove that the CPP disability there was a whole bunch of other things being involved in paying her CPP disability that had nothing to do with her work, and they just finally agreed, yeah, you're right, we just won't deduct it. So in that case, the person got to keep the full workers' comp payment and her full CPP payment. Now, that's not always possible, but it just shows you that it's not always a straight deduction. You have to kind of think about it. Now, another thing that does come up is this idea of overpayments. And again, this goes back to the point that workers' compensation can deduct CPP disability from what they pay you to some extent. What a common thing that will happen is someone is approved for workers' compensation. They've been paid for a year or more. During that time, they end up applying for CPP disability. It ends up being approved. And then they receive this back payment from CPP. So you receive a check in the mail for $25,000 for this back payment, or more or less. It depends on how long. But you'll get this back payment of CPP disability that covers months before. Now, to the extent that those past months overlap with where you received a workers' compensation payment, you may have to pay all or some of the CPP disability benefit over to workers' comp, okay? So where I see people get into trouble is if they get that CPP lump sum payment and go spend it and then realize after, oh wow, like I owed that back, the whole thing over to workers' comp. That's when they get kind of angry with you. They will cut off your benefits. I've seen them do lawsuits to get the money back. And so there's a lot of things that can happen that are going to cause a lot of stress. So it's very important if you do want continuity of your benefits to make sure that you coordinate that well with workers' comp and communicate with them and figure out how much of it they're owed. If you feel like there's a dispute, sometimes there are disputes. Like I said, we had a client where we got her to get the full of both payments. That's not always possible, but you could at least seek legal advice about that to determine if that's could be for your situation. So in summary, both are disability payments. One's a provincial-based payment, which is through government agencies, that's workers' comp. The other is a federal program that pays benefits, and that's CPP disability. They overlap in that they both pay for disability. Workers' compensation can deduct CPP disability payments, so therefore That's the way you need to think about it. So if you're getting CPP, you'll always get that check in the mail. Your workers' compensation may reduce what they owe you based on what you're getting from CPP, and there can be some arguments about what that is. So I hope you're not dealing with one of these overpayment issues. That can be a headache. And if you are, it's maybe worth getting some advice on to see if there's anything that can be done, but often there is not. Now, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and leave comments. That's the one I always forget. Leave comments and we're happy to respond to you, or you can get in touch with our support team using the information down below. Take care. We'll see you next time.